Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about gender and articles and nouns, or gender of nouns. So in Spanish, every noun has a gender. It's either masculine or feminine, and it's very important that we know what the gender of the noun is in order to use the correct article and also to use the correct adjective. For example, these are your definite articles. Let me put that right here. And definite articles are the. Okay, and in English we have the book, the teacher, the desk, it's just the. In Spanish we actually have four. You have a singular the, and masculine the, which is el, a singular feminine the, which is la, a plural masculine the, which is los, and a plural feminine the, which is las. And so you have to know the gender of the noun to know which article to use because they have to match up. So if you have a masculine word, you're going to use the masculine singular the, and if you have a feminine singular word, you're going to use the feminine singular the. Okay, so for example here, let's see, and so there are a few rules that tell you what the gender of a noun is. So it tells you here that generally, but not always, the gender of a noun can be determined from the ending. So remember that this is generally, but not always. Okay, a lot of people, so if you don't have a textbook where you can look up the gender of the noun, then you can go by this rule, but for the most part you're going to want to look in the dictionary or you're going to want to look in your text. But nouns that end in A, tend to be, are mostly feminine, and nouns that end in O, for the most part, are masculine. For example, libro ends in O, so it's a masculine word, so I would use the masculine the, el. Casa ends in A, it's feminine, so I would use the feminine the, la. There are exceptions to the rule, like mano, foto, moto. Those are all masculine, and they end in, they end in O, and they're all feminine words. For example, some of them, the reason is for example, moto is short for motocicleta, which has an A on the end, which makes sense that it would be feminine, and photo would be photografia, which also has an A on the end. So that makes sense why those are feminine words, even though they end in O, because these are their abbreviated forms. Mano, however, just ends in O, and it's always feminine. Dia and mapa are words that end in A, that are always masculine. So these are 5 words that you would have to memorize. The fact that they are these are 5 words that you would have to memorize are masculinity and femininity because it doesn't fit the OA rule. MA, though, however, does usually fit. If a word ends in MA, it's masculine. So even though A tends to be feminine, if it's an MA, then you can go ahead and assume it's masculine, like tema, problema, trauma, síntoma, drama. However, there's an exception, like cama ends in MA, but it happens to be feminine. Here are some other suffixes that are feminine. Shon, dad, esa, ura. So if you see words that have these suffixes, you're going to go ahead and assume that they're feminine. Also, words like that have the suffix ista. Ista has to do with a profession, like pianista is someone who plays the piano, deportista is someone who plays sports, and artista is someone who's an artist. Ista, because it's used on the endings of nouns that refer to people, that can be both masculine or feminine depending on who the person is. So if it's a boy who's a pianist, it's going to be el pianista. If it's a girl who's the pianist, it's going to be la pianista. Okay, let's see here. So when you're trying to decide whether a word is masculine or feminine, what probably works the best is looking up the word and seeing what the article is. Because if the article L is with the word, no matter what it ends in, it's going to be masculine. If the article la is with it, no matter what it ends in, it's going to be feminine. So for example, I think I had, this is from another book, but I'll open this so you can see. So for example here, el bolígrafo, it ends in el, so it's masculine. La calculadora, it's got a la, so it's feminine. La computadora, la feminine. El cuaderno, el masculine. El diccionario, el is masculine. El lápiz, masculine. El libro, masculine. El mapa, masculine. El marcador, masculine. So you're often given your words like this, or you may, in a glossary, find that it has an L or a la after it, or in a dictionary, it may mark it as masculine or feminine. So, and you just always want to make sure your article agrees. So, for example, let me go back here. Okay, you also have indefinite articles, and I don't know if I've got room to stick them out here. Okay, so your definite articles are the, your indefinite articles also have to agree with the gender of the nouns. These are your indefinite articles, and that is in English and or some. Okay, so if you have a masculine, so sometimes we want to say the pencil, sometimes we want to say a pencil, like I need the blue pencil or I need a pencil. So if you want to say you use un, unos, una, or unas. If it is a word that's masculine and singular, you're going to use un to say a pen or a pencil. If it is a word that's feminine and singular, you're going to use una, like una silla, una mesa. If it's masculine and plural, like some pens, you're going to use unos bolígrafos. And if it's feminine and plural, you're going to use unas, like some chairs, unas sillas. Okay, so let's do a little bit of practice. If you look out here, this side, we're going to put the definite article. We're going to put the L's and La's. And over here, we're going to put the uns and unas. And I'll just do a few of these. So cuaderno, if I want to say the notebook, this word is masculine and singular. I know that. You can quickly look at the O and assume that it's masculine, but then if you want to know for sure, you would look up the word, and if you look up cuaderno, you'll find that it's a masculine word. So you would write el cuaderno. Profesora is a feminine singular word, so you would use the feminine singular the, la. Pizarras is feminine and plural, so to say the boards or the chalkboards, I have to use the plural the. Las pizarras. Diccionarios is masculine and plural, so I need the masculine plural the, which would be los diccionarios. Dia, even though it ends in a, is masculine and singular. You can remember this because you probably know these phrases even if you forget dia. You never say buenos dias, you say buenos dias. Adjectives also agree with the nouns they describe. So if you have a masculine spelling of good to describe good day, good afternoon, good evening, then you know that the word that is being described with the good, which in this case is day, has to also be masculine. Okay, so if it's just one day, the day would be el día, the papers, los papeles, the calculator, la calculadora. If you go over here, you'd be doing the same thing, but this time instead of saying the woman, you say a woman. So the that you would want to use is the feminine singular one, una señora. This professor, I want to say a professor. It's masculine and singular, so I would say un profesor. Pizarras is feminine and plural, so I would say some pizarras, using the feminine plural spelling of some. Some books, the masculine plural spelling of books, unos libros. Some classes, class is a feminine word, so I would say unas clases. Universidad, it ends in AD, which is one of the suffixes that tends to be feminine. So again, that's a feminine word. I'd say a university, una universidad. A table, una mesa. Some maps, map, if you remember, that's one of your exceptions to the rule that even though map ends in A, it's masculine. So I would say unos mapas. Some paper or a piece of paper, un papel. Some watches, watch is masculine, so I'd have to say unos relojes. And if this didn't make sense how I was getting these, you just need to look up each of the words to see whether it was masculine or feminine, and then you just match the article. You want to use the masculine singular article with masculine singular words, the feminine singular article with feminine singular words, and the masculine plural article with masculine plural words. And just one other thing, when a feminine noun begins with a stressed A, the singular masculine article el is used. But I think when you make it plural, you switch back. So it'd be el agua, but las aguas. El arma, las armas. El alma, las almas. So just be careful of that, that a word that is technically feminine and would get feminine adjectives to describe it gets the masculine article just because you can't have la agua. It's too many A's next to each other.